Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I conduct work life video interviews with career professionals that become an all intuitive conversation. Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I encourage individuals to live smart and ascend to new levels of work life success. Today, I have the pleasure of connecting with the first time with Chet. So let's bring him to the screen. Aloha, Chet.
Hello, Felicia.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. For a change, we've got some sun out there after days of rain and a miserable winter. So, yeah, I'm doing fine.
Well, yes, I took a walk out earlier today with my husband in the sunshine. Where are you? I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. Where are you?
I'm in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, which is right next to Springfield, Massachusetts, which is the birthplace of basketball. And
Oh,
we're in Massachusetts. We're in the western part of the state. We're not part of Boston at all.
uh-huh.
So where I live, it's country. There's mountains. There's a lot of green trees, and it's nice out here. It's a different place than Boston is.
They're different, huh? Were you born and raised there, or is that
I
just
was actually. I was raised across the river in West Springfield.
okay?
So aside from going to college, I've pretty much spent my life here.
Where'd you
Yeah.
go to college?
I went to Drew University in Madison, New Jersey for a year, but then I transferred to the University of Hartford because I wanted a business degree, and
Mm,
Drew did not offer that. So yeah, after 4 years of college, I went out and started to work.
yeah, okay. So you seem like you kind of took the traditional path of going to school and going out and starting a job. Um, so I want to say, Chet, that first thing that already came out is a card about this man that has this balance in the scale of an angel and justice. And here's what it says on the card, Chet. Be impartial and objective. Stand up for what you believe. Try to see all sides of a situation. You will win if your position is one of integrity. So, based off of when we kind of started the show, there was a cause that you mentioned that you are very much connected to. And I'm going to say that you stand up for what you believe, and it has to do with diabetes. So I'm going to go ahead and start there because it's leading me in that, in like I said, in that direction to have that conversation.
Yep.
What is your story with diabetes?
Well, I have had type 1 diabetes since 1981. So
Okay.
I've had it for about 43 years. It's a long time to have it. Over
Hmm.
those years, I've obviously learned how to deal with it, but I've also gotten to talk to a lot of other diabetics and realize how much misinformation is out there about diabetes. What I
Hmm.
decided to do with retirement is to take care of the problem. I want to educate people, whether you have diabetes or not, to let people know that diabetics did not bring this disease on themselves.
Hmm.
Whether it's type 1 or type 2, they both start with a genetic predisposition, and it starts when you hit an environmental trigger. Now, once those two things happen, you have the underlying conditions, and that's when, watching your weight and watching what you eat and all the rest of it comes into play. Those are things that do help you control your blood sugar, but they're not what initiates the disease. And
Hmm.
what I found in doing, I used to before COVID, I was doing courses where I would teach this stuff to people. I would do it for University of Massachusetts, Springfield College, the Bay State Medical Center, which is a big healthcare institution here. They had me doing programs, and so I met a lot of diabetics doing that.
Hmm.
In particular, there was one called the Men of Color Health Awareness Program, and we would get together on Saturday mornings and talk about this stuff. And I discovered that there's a lot of misunderstanding, no matter what color you are or whatever political leaning you have.
Hmm.
We were all in the same boat. So it's important for people to,
We're all same boats. Yes.
but it's important for people to understand what's really going on, because one common thread is that people feel guilty about having diabetes. And many people, judge them because they believe that the diabetic brought it on themselves. And because of this, a lot of diabetics keep quiet about it. And that's a problem because you need peer support. You need to talk to other people who are in the same situation you're in to understand that you're not the only one who struggles, that everyone does. And also to make diabetes a thing that's not disrespected. A lot of, not everybody, but there are a certain number of people called the diabetes police. These are people who don't know much about diabetes, but they're not reluctant to tell you that maybe you shouldn't be eating that cookie at the Christmas party or, whatever situation excuse me, it may be. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to educate everybody so we create a society that understands diabetes and encourages those who don't fight it to take it seriously. Because really, that is a serious problem. Um, unfortunately, Black people have a predisposition toward type 2, as do Asian Americans, Native Americans, and other groups. Genetically, there's just more of a chance for that. So it's important to get into those communities and get people to understand that they've got a deadly disease and they can't just slough it off. And that's one of the things I found in the Men of Color Health Awareness Program. Virtually everybody that I taught either had diabetes or knew somebody who did.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you said you talked about the same boat, which there's this boat, but here also this black cloud. They are leaving something that was a challenging situation. Here's what it says on here, Brett. It says the end of challenging times. Things are looking up, a welcome relief, finding your way to a peaceful place. The end of depression or an illness. So it's like basically what you're talking about is like you're going out there sharing the information. And one of the things about justice is that justice also means that people have access to information opportunities, that it's pretty much equal on the board. And what I'm hearing is that may not always be the case when it comes to like the information that you're saying about the diabetes and the misperceptions of that. Which then the next card that came out here was the oil about cleansing, of how do we basically kind of clear the air about these misconceptions about what diabetes. And here it says the theme is purification. Trigger statement says their opinion matters to me. And basically it's kind of like falls in line with what you were saying about how you can have it, but we don't talk about it because people are putting this higher opinion of what people are going to judge them about having this disease in their life and what that means. And like I said, it's all about cleansing that. The true statement says, I see things in a new way. As you release external influences and energy, you will become clear with regard to what is needed. So, Chad, so the question becomes, when you think about the misconceptions about diabetes and what individuals can know, in a concise sentence, how would you like to clear the air about what people think about diabetes?
What I've done is a lot of research on diabetes. I've written a couple of books about it, and they're out there. They're on Amazon. But over the past year, I've put together some videos, and the videos, in a very short amount of time, teach you the basics that people really do need to know. They're really packed with a lot of information, even though they're short. They're less than a half hour long. My hope is that people will show these videos in groups. If you have a civic, church, group, or a book club, whatever it may be, the best way to see these is in a group setting, because it would be just like some of the classes I used to use. People get the information that I teach, but at the same time, if you have an hour, you have a half hour to watch the film and another half hour to talk about it. And the discussion afterwards often is even more valuable than the raw information that I present to you. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping that like churches would be an ideal way to go. I've been to black churches, and
Hmm.
I love it. By the way,
Well, I'm
Felicia,
I'm smiling because the card that already came out here is 101,
yeah,
and it talks about literally spiritual awakening, new
yeah,
beginnings. It
yeah,
says new beginnings, personal development, prioritizing creativity, and heading in the right
yeah,
direction. Heading in the right direction.
yeah. You might appreciate this, Felicia. My son used to live in Chicago, and
Hmm.
my wife and I would go out there to visit him on a pretty regular basis. Well, I was out there one time. This is back when Barack Obama was president,
Hmm.
and his church is in the news a lot.
Yes.
So uh, I wanted to go to the church and then just see what that was all about. So my son told me that he couldn't let me go down there because it's a dangerous area, which it is. It's the south side of Chicago.
Hmm.
So I said, look, it's Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. I mean, the bad guys are usually in bed by, at that time. So I'm not too concerned about that. But he insisted on driving me down there. So the two of us went. So we walk into this church, which is an absolutely huge church. I mean, it's big,
Hmm.
it's modern, it's got balconies. I think it holds like 3,000 people. The choir had about 100 people in it.
Hmm.
The and they had these gospel singers they had to be professionals. I mean, the music was just so good; it was unbelievable.
Hmm.
So the two of us walk in there, and they're welcoming us with open arms. Please sign in at the desk on your way in, and where would you like to sit? So we decided to sit in the balcony. So they brought us up there. So this service took about 2 hours. After about an hour, the woman in charge of the service gets up and she says, "Now, some of you may not be comfortable with this, but this is a holy hugging and handshaking church. And we'd like to introduce our visitors. So
Hmm.
the first visitors are Chet and John Galaska from Western Massachusetts. Would you stand up, please?" so so we stood up, and Felicia, everybody around us, literally was giving us hugs and handshakes. People came from other parts of the church. It was like they were swarming around us. It
Yeah.
was just a wonderful experience. So after the service was over, my son turns to me and says, I have never felt more welcome anywhere. And I felt the same way. So it
Yes.
was just that was a particularly cool experience.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yes.
And by the way, we were the only two white people in the church. I mean, you know,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, yes, I have like I said, I live in the South, in Little Rock, Arkansas, the Southern Belt. And so yes, African American churches, they have this part in the sermon that you go around and you meet and greet and hug on the new people, and or just you're meeting and greeting everybody. It's the opportunity if you didn't get to talk to them beforehand, like, oh, I saw
yeah,
you, and
yeah,
you make your way on them. But what I love is that you had that experience and that it was well received for you. Because, like I said, here it's spiritual awakening that you talk about that story. It says, a new phase in a religious or spiritual quest. You're going through a spiritual awakening, which can feel like the dark night of the soul. You're on the path to enlightenment, and this too shall pass. And so again, it's the whole transformation. How they're tying this back to diabetes, of how you can have this dark experience, but having the enlightenment and the information that can free you from something, which is what this next hand mudra came up and it talked about. Shit, it says freedom. It says take to your wings, and it talks about this is the Gurdjura mudra, and it talks about Jugurja is the mystical bird, master of the skies, and the enemies of snakes, who personifies freedom, strength, and power, which is that you can have diabetes, but you can still have that strength and freedom and power to live a very, fruitful and life. So I love this. So it says very often we cannot change our circumstances, but we do have the choice between letting them go on top of us or taking off and rising above them. In other words, we can change our attitude whenever we want to. Isn't that wonderful? Gorduta allows you to mount his broad back so that you can take your soaring up into the sky with him. With that perspective, the ordinary things of daily life sink into insignificance. You can reveal the endless space, freedom, and beauty of the heavens. Behind the clouds, freedom knows no bounds. I mean, we're talking about back here, this what they can seem to
The
be as the
clouds.
dark clouds of diabetes is like, no, you can live this life um beyond that. So Chet, so when you started doing the diabetes and now going to the African American churches and having that experience, what is it is your calling, your desire in order to reach the African American community about diabetes? Because you could easily go another route. What do you
Well,
think?
that's just one of the routes I'm taking. It doesn't matter what the group is.
Mm-hmm.
I've done the classes for civic organizations and medical operations. I mean, it doesn't matter what the group is because no matter who it is, the chances are that 10 to 15% of those people are going to have diabetes, and the rest are
Mm-hmm.
probably going to know somebody who does. So I like the idea of the Black community because I know there's a particular need there just based on the stories that I heard from the Black guys who took my classes.
Okay.
Most of them had horror stories about people getting amputations and dying
Yes.
early, and about I mean, everybody is kind of surprised to hear what the dietary concerns are and how they can be met. So I think there's a particular need there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really mean to bring race into this, but typically whites have better health insurance, so they get better care, and they get the education that many Black people don't. And what I'm trying to do is let them know basically what you need to do and how you can do it, and the fact that it is important that you would take care of it. So that's why I like the idea of Black churches, and I'm really hoping to get some inroads there. The idea isn't for me to go to the churches, by the way. It's to use the videos and have other people in the church learn more about diabetes and help educate the people who go to church with them. And
Mm.
that's something else I can help with. So it's a big project, and I really
It
can't.
is.
I can't do it all by myself. I need other people to help do it.
Well, it's interesting because I was already drawn to my crow deck because, like I said, you have those birds and the clouds and kind of going over them, and it's mentioned that you said not being by yourself. So I
Right.
said, okay, what is another word of guidance? And you've got play that has a picture of a variety of crows, and here's what it says, Chet. Crows are not always so serious. They enjoy the company of friends and spend time engaging in play. When this card appears, it's time to relax, exercise your creative mind, and maybe your body too, and play. When you give our brains something different to consider, something that brings us joy, they will reward us by being more productive when it comes time to go back to work. In a world where we are constantly consuming information, play asks that you disconnect and allow your brain to create some output. It is during play that our creativity expands. It is during states of play that our minds relax. And out of the blue, which I'm going to say on your cards are blue, blue, and the justice card is blue. Talks about we discover the solutions to problems that may have been eluding us. And
Cool.
so, how does that resonate with you?
I think that as far as the things that people can learn from
Mhm.
me and the videos, that they open their eyes and they have a different attitude about their disease.
Mm,
They should be they should understand that it's something they can deal with. It's not impossible. They should understand that they should not be carrying any guilt. In fact,
mhm,
one of the best things about what I do, Felicia, is that after I teach the course, people will come up to me and they'll tell me the best thing I told them was that they were not at fault for getting this. You can
mhm,
see the guilt melt off their faces
Yeah.
because they've been beating themselves up for all these years unnecessarily. So it is a whole different look at the disease and even at yourself personally. When you realize that you're empowered to take care of this, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it coincides with, like you were saying before, that diabetes can uh, be serious, and like I said, it has led to people having to get amputations and different things like that, where it affects other parts of their body. But it's like it, it's also the news of how it could be so detrimental. Like I said, people don't want to talk about it, the whole shame and just the whole seriousness of it. And it's like taking that break of like, yes, we want to get people's attention, but it's not necessarily wanting to, as they say, preach the gospel of fear mongering, of
Hmm.
like, that this is a bad thing and this is your fault and this isn't. It's like, no, how can we give people freedom and release of just lifting that burden, as you talked about, of
One way to explain diabetes and why it's serious is that
mhm,
if you take a glass of water and you stir sugar into it, what
mhm,
happens? The water gets sticky. Well, when you have too much sugar in your blood, that's
mhm,
exactly what you're doing to the blood. And that's why it's so dangerous. That sticky blood clogs up your blood vessels. And
slowing it
after a
down.
while, it causes cardiovascular disease. And because your blood goes everywhere in your body, it damages practically everything. If
Mhm.
you look at it that way, you realize that, for example, drinking a lot of sugar soda is not a good idea for a diabetic. So
Yeah.
it gets down to something as basic as that.
Well, I was asking Emmanuel, was like, okay, who is Chet's energy coming alongside and kind of aligning? And you have Dwell Call, and it says Dharma unfolding. And here's what the extended message says, Chet. When Dwell Call appears in a reading, he reminds you that your path is unfolding as it should. Take one step at a time and remember that your only spiritual function is to be happy. You are a powerful person with many lessons under your belt and a real capacity to share your wisdom with the world. So,
Wow.
the information that you're having, you're sharing that with the world. Take the time to go over what you have learned recently. Recognize the strength it has brought you and acknowledge when you have been courageous. The wall call is now working with your angel guides to help your journey unfold like a beautiful lotus flower, one petal at a time.
Oh, that's really cool.
Chet, thank you so much for your work and coming in and encouraging other individuals to live smart, innocent, to new levels of work life success. If individuals want to reach out with you and learn more about your work and come alongside you, how can they reach you?
The best thing to do is go to the website. The website is challengediabetes.us. Everybody wants to put in .com, but it's .us. If you go there, you'll see what I'm doing and why, and
Yes.
there's access to the videos there too. So yeah, do that. And if anybody would like to ask me questions, just use the form on the website. I'll be happy to answer whatever questions they have.
Mm. And the word that's coming through in line with that, when people are talking about calm, it's not about, because calm is commercial, but us is coming alongside. I like that you're using us because it basically is a reminder of you having here, you're not in this boat
Uh,
alone. It's us.
Well, well, you know something. I could have gone .com, but I thought I like the us too because it's about us.
And that's what resonates. It aligns with your story. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that have watched, we do hope that you have been encouraged to live smart, innocent, and do levels of work life success. If you're interested in being a guest on All Intuitive Conversation, you can learn more on my YouTube channel, All Intuitive Conversation, and reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. So, until we all meet again, this has been an All Intuitive Conversation. Thank you, Chad.
You're welcome.